Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter. We're moving into our second series of the day. My name is PtitDrogo, and we have a special guest on today. It is going to be none other than Jessica *TitDrogo. What's up?
Hey, I'm a special guest.
Yeah.
That sounds like I won't be back for like any more.
You're actually going to be here for like the entire next 2 weeks, so.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a special guest, but I am here, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and of course, we brought her on specifically because Jessica here has experience with some of the amazing war chest skins, one of which actually is available to all of you guys. It is the Command Center skin. ZombieGrub, how do you feel about this beautiful Special Forces Command Center?
Well, as someone who makes at least 2 orbital commands per game, at least,
You're not a proxier?
I am not a proxier, no. So I am probably... I mean, well, Nate probably makes like 50 once he has his like 50 battle cruisers as well. So.
But those turn into planetary fortresses, not orbitals.
No. 25 at least going to orbitals.
Okay,
all right,
fair.
like half at least. But anyways, yeah, no, it's sick stuff. You know, love the war chests, love the initiative, and I like all the skins. Although, let's be real, Zerg got the best. It's okay. It's fine.
I think Protoss has some pretty good ones, but you know, that's a debate for another time. And of course, we are going to be moving into a Protoss game. Protoss versus Terran this time instead of Protoss versus Zerg, with Koss versus PtitDrogo. What are your thoughts on this one?
See, that's what I thought you were going to open up with. You know, you're going to be like, we brought ZombieGrub on to complain about Terran.
No, we already had Nate here.
Oh.
He is fully capable of the Flash.
I feel like I'm just like a worse Nate right now. I don't build as many orbital commands. I don't build battle cruisers. And
is that a worse thing or a better thing?
I don't know. I guess it's up for chat.
I mean, I enjoy Nate's games. Don't get me wrong.
I think everyone enjoys Nate's games.
That's true.
Especially
except for his opponents. His opponents gradually die inside.
I think they enjoy when they get his MMR.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
But of course, again, like PtitDrogo versus Koss, we just saw kind of what I think Nate and I considered an upset with Nerchio getting beat.
Yeah.
What are you expecting here?
I didn't actually think it was as much of an upset considering that Gung Fu did beat him recently. Nerchio is kind of entering 2019. Yeah. Awkwardly a little bit. But I expect really good things from Koss here. I think as far as the names that are on the forefront of your mind when you talk about StarCraft 2 as of right now, maybe Koss is a little behind because I'm more old school, right? Drogo a little bit more in the forefront. But I actually think that Koss had a really good qualifier run to get here through Protoss.
Yeah.
So he should be really bringing it hard to Drogo.
Okay. Well, I think the game's going to be started soon. Once again, ZombieGrub is going to do the observing this time, as long as production's okay with that, because we forgot to tell them that.
Oh, yeah.
So that was me telling production that ZombieGrub wanted to observe. Cool. First game is getting loaded on up. Port Alexander for this Protoss versus Terran. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys are as excited as I am, because I really want to see how PtitDrogo's looking. He had a little bit of a rocky start in some of the online tournaments, but I believe WCS is going to bring out the best in him.
You all right? I like your positivity, man. That's what you're all about. All right, we got everything set up here. It's Port Alexander for game number 1 in this best of 3. In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss. He's French. He is PtitDrogo.
Top 8 at Jönköping last year. No, that 2 years ago?
I was going to say that's
2 years. Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Well, on the other side of the map, we have the red Terran player. He is Koss. Team StarCom, I believe. Yeah, Team StarCom.
Good one. They have a
Look
star.
at that name. Look at that.
Oh, that is a... Wait, what?
Nicknamed the Machine due to a large amount of ladder games.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's a... I mean, that again kind of goes back to like the you want to call him old school, but obviously he's here, so it feels weird to call him old school. But you know, he is old school, and it's one of those things that he was like so well known for years ago. And now it's like it's something that you can talk about him for sure.
It's one of those things you'll find on Wikipedia trivias, and you're like, huh, I guess that was the case in 2014.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But it is sort of funny. There are definitely some of those kind of, you used to call them ladder heroes, but I think it's a cool thing now. It shows the dedication. It shows how much they practice and stuff. A lot of these players train pretty hard to be here. Interesting probe path, by the way, from, what was it, from Drogo. Or sorry, no, from, yeah, it was from Drogo. Moving all the way up to the top right-hand corner before moving in.
Yeah, I mean, Koss is going for the scout to see if there's any like shenanigans really, really early that he has to maybe make a emergency marine or just keep the Reaper at home, right? But he's going to scout a regular Nexus, no forward gateways. It is Port Alexander, so you know it's great to get that check off. You know the SCVCs. There's nothing afoot so far, but then the Reaper is going to have trouble getting that follow-up scout. You know, with this whole thing going on here, why do they have to put the crates there?
Well, Zombie Grub, sometimes you have the delivery, it gets canceled, and you got to put the delivery somewhere until you can send it back to the sender.
I'm pretty sure when a Terran cancels a building, we don't get any like stacked cargo anywhere to come back to it later.
Where do those 25 minerals go? Like when you, or the 25%?
That's a good
when
point.
you cancel a building? Because
Yeah.
for Protoss, it's like you warp it in, it goes unwarped, I get it. For Zerg, you get your drone back, like that's where the organism and all the stuff goes. Where do all the things that a Terran orders? Because you're like ordering parts and moving them there, and it's like, okay, cool, we're ready to build this. Like, actually, sorry, we're not doing this anymore.
I'm not sure. I guess it's just to make sure that all the SCVs families don't go hungry.
The 25%, it's like a tax.
Yes.
It's like, look, man, you paid for some of our time here today.
Exactly. So important stuff here. The Reaper got in, of course, you know, before any units were able to stop it. But now that there's a unit stopping it, just right there's 2 units even. Good Lord. He's not going to be able to see that it's a robo opening.
Yeah. Sees a sentry, and that is going to reveal to him that he will have to deal with this hallucinate Phoenix Scouts coming out eventually. Starport swapping on to the Tech Lab, so we are likely going to be seeing that Banshee opening that a lot of Terra players have been liking so much lately.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see, like, okay, like how we're going to describe this Terran for the rest of the TVPs. Some people really do just like the tank pushes early on. Some other people love Banshees. You know, we have the Proxiers as well. I've been seeing so many more like Raven tank pushes that Banshees for me is just like, oh yeah, that's like totally a good thing too. And it's gonna be something that Drogo scouts as well. Sees the Tech Lab moving.
Which is really nice, by the way, because Koss moved all of his Marines out from his natural and his main base down to the low ground over where the 3rd was to try and intercept the Hallucinate Phoenix. Drogo, barely able to keep that alive, did manage to actually circumvent it around to the natural and then over to the main base. So Koss was unable to deny that scout on the Cloak Banshees.
Drogo really wants to get rid of this Reaper. It's not scouting the main base, but it is scouting where you would naturally rally things.
I feel like just killing the Reaper is also a moral victory. You just want to kill it because you're like, look, it's going to come back in later. It's going to come in at like the 9.5 minute mark, and it's going to see like my Dark Shrine that I'm going for. Something weird that I'm doing.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. At this point, I think with the constant, you know, pokes forward, seeing not a lot of stalkers, and then of course the observer now getting in. Like, they both have a really clear idea of what's going on for both sides. We're going to have charge first at the Twilight Council. A lot of gateways, too. No quick 3rd Nexus here.
Banshee's about to come into that main base. It's on the far south side. And I don't believe any of the Stalkers are actually sitting in the main base. They're all still sitting at the natural expansion, which is kind of funny. He did see the Tech Lab in there. Okay, there are a couple Stalkers here. Have a little bit of a way to work around.
They're going to shoot that away. More importantly, this is opening up space for this attack to come in. Now, Koss did go for another Banshee and is following up with a Raven, but he's not going to find it there next to actually cancel or in danger. Something that Drogo is actually probably going to be pretty pleased about. Once charge finishes, he could demolish this attack, you know, a couple warpins as well. And Koss has to be careful not to overstay his welcome.
Yeah, he needs to actually save up some of the resources for those warpins right now, as he does have all the gateways just finishing up, but he only has 3 Zealots out right now. Warping a couple High Templars to make an Archon, and there is going to be the big Zealot warpin as charge finishes up just in the nick of time.
This, I'm not sure how pretty this is going to look for the Marines on the low ground, but the Banshees could still be a problem. A Sentry, an Archon, and a Stalker. That's what shoots up here, but the Marines are going to get taken out. The tank should be soon to follow.
Yes, this is going to be a full cleanup over here, and of course that's actually a really great win there for Drogo, killing off that many army units, but 12 workers already going down. The Banshees are still alive and making their way to the main base mineral line and kind of darting back to the natural.
Yeah, they're trying to juke me out as well, but they went to the main and decided to go back to the natural. You know, 2 at a time, shooting at a time will not, the Shieldbiter can't help. So a lot of probes went down there. Drogo probably better off just pulling those probes away while he dealt with the attack. But I think that Drogo might still be okay with how that went down. He absolutely slaughtered an attack that a lot of Terrans do depend on lasting at least a little bit longer, so they can build up back at home. Here we have the the wall that's being set up to help against this, but so few units, and Drogo is going to go for the attack. I mean, does he have a Warp Prism?
He does.
He does.
Yeah, that Warp Prism makes all the difference. Not only providing some of that high ground vision, but able to drop some Zealots in on the main base and maybe jump on top of that Siege Tank. Siege Tank, one of them is not Siege up, the other one is trying to go after a missile turret.
Ooh.
Disable on the Warp Prism is going to be able to snipe that off.
Yeah, really nicely done, but it does open up the natural base. A single tank was unable to defend. What was a building bunker or something? So SCVs will go down, but can Koss hold in general?
Well, Koss can afford to lose 6 or 7 more workers and still be ahead. Not to mention, he will have the extra mules from 3 orbital commands. He's just retreating back to the main base, and I really do like that decision.
Yeah, I think ultimately it turns out well for our Terran player. Some Zealots, I guess, got the other missile turret and are still being a bit of a bother, but this is probably net gain for the Terran player. 3rd CC, upgrades all finishing, nothing was sniped, which is a big danger for some of those counters. And while Drogo is back up to 42 workers, that's only 6 ahead of the Terran player who's about to have a big enough army to push this back, take his 3rd, and continue on with the game. And I'm afraid that Drogo might be losing out in just like pacing-wise, for TVP.
A couple more workers going down inside the main base of Drogo, as I believe the Banshees are back in, and there's a photon cannon finishing up. The Banshees are finally starting to lose their lives, but he just re-evened the worker count after Drogo's been trying to chrono boost out more of those probes.
Re-evened.
Re-evened.
Yes, you're not wrong. That's what he did, which, of
36
course,
is an even number, Zombie Grub. I didn't say, otherwise I would have said it re-audded.
Shut up. But that's not a great sign for a Protoss player versus the Terran, who, again, is about to be able to actually move out. This is a situation where Stim and Combat Shields was such a long ways off that 3rd CC would never even be able to get down. Well, then Drogo is slowly increasing that lead, but it's not going to be that case for much longer. Koss, I guess, maybe waiting for some medevacs or a bigger opportunity to attack in there. I think it was just the medevacs, really, that he was scared to stim forward, get splashed by a couple of Archons. But, I mean, now that Drogo's pulling back, trying to get his 3rd Nexus up, Koss should have an opportunity to try and move across the map.
I do wonder sometimes if the Terran, when you're in these kind of weird situations where you've been both losing a bunch of workers, your opponent came in, was completely taking over your natural expansion, you lost some workers, it can sometimes be a little bit hard to read the situation and know who did more damage, but surely Koss should know he's in a decent spot. It is just a question, when does he feel comfortable moving out? And it looks like that time is going to be around now.
I'm afraid Koss is mismacroing a little bit. Like, the lack of medevacs.
There's a lot of gas actually saved up.
Yeah, and the lack of medevacs is kind of concerning. He's putting a lot of production. Okay, they finally go with the medevacs, but initially just 1 medevac, Raven against the Banshees, but then right in a Ghost Academy and Armory, at least pointing to a bit of a later game here, and it is a good thing he's getting a Ghost Academy because Drogo has managed to get his way to Storm with ease. Koss was not nearly as quick in that counter as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and now suddenly, as soon as Storm finishes up, this whole game kind of turns on its head because now it's not just a numbers game. Now it's a lot about the army positioning and where things are, or how the Storms are going to land, especially if you can defend this ramp. High Templars are there. Storm is just finishing up in the nick of time. Anti-armor missile does come down on the Marines, but that is a pure Marine ball, and they are going to take a lot of damage to that Storm. Yeah,
well, hopefully the tanks can start target firing the High Templars, or the splits will just be too good. Some Marauders joining in now.
Nothing healing these units. They're all just still sitting in the red. There's 1 medevac.
You're absolutely right about that. That is really becoming apparent with more stims coming down, but it might just be too many units for Drogo to handle.
Counterattack on the 3rd base also. Okay, never mind. It's just a probe actually killing SCVs. But we see more and more of these workers going down. The 3rd base getting low, but not actually getting sniped off right now. Those siege tanks are under fire.
Oh, man. He wanted that Storm on top of these really injured Marines, but can't find it. Now there's no more High Templars. He doesn't have one in his back pocket to save him and his charge lots. This should be game for Koss.
Yeah, Koss is starting to clean up everything, and we see that Drogo feels like maybe, no, it's not going to happen. GG, Koss takes the first game, honestly, off the back of the Banshee damage, and then gradually be able to close that up, but that got a little bit close.
Yes, it did. The lack of medevacs, I mean, you don't, especially because I think he was in a good position, you don't see it like so obviously almost impact the game. But that was almost it, the Storms almost to take out the Marines, almost enough charge lots to get the last hits.
Yeah. Did he not? I guess was the starport still in the tech lab or something?
No. I went back and checked, and it was on the reactor. It was ready to pump out medevacs. I'm thinking that was just a mistake.
Okay. Yeah, it might be a miss micro or something. It's like the attack comes into his natural at the exact moment that he would normally hotkey his starport or something, and then suddenly he realizes it's actually not hotkeyed, so he wasn't making something like that. Sometimes can happen.
Yeah, I mean,
Opponent messes with you a bit.
Yes, I think we all understand that mistakes happen in StarCraft.
StarCraft's a hard game, guys. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And you were right.
Okay. We'll go into game number 2. Thanks, Jeff. We're going into Cyber Forest for PtitDrogo sitting down 0-1 right now. I do again think, like, I know that Nate was saying he kind of thought that Koss was maybe like someone that he was expecting to be able to make it out of the group in second place or something. Drogo, I feel like he's the person that has kind of the name recognition and stuff behind him. He's the guy that, not necessarily in terms of results lately, but in results in the past overall, he's the more careered person that a lot of people would have expected to kind of make it out. So yeah, this is a tough spot for him to be down 0-1 already in this group. Yeah,
but it like, you know, there's a weird thing that happens where there's so many arguments about TVP right now.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. But, you know,
I guess it's not that bad after all. This is on.
Oh, God. Anyways, we're like one region or one player will look absolutely dominating with their tank pushes, and then the other, you know, the other match, other region, suddenly the Protoss look dominating and always seem to have an answer. And to be clear, Drogo did, I think, have a very, like, pointed answer to the tank push. I think he dealt with that fine. It was just the Banshees that still always seem to do something.
Yeah, it's a nice mix-up. I know Nate was talking about this. Even In Control was talking about this on the Pylon show with Artosis and No Regret and Cats, about how all the Terran players just really seem to love that tank push, but nice mix-up there. We'll see if Koss is going to go for something similar again, and if this guy up here in the top left-hand corner of the map is going to have an answer to it. Spawning, he is the blue Protoss player. His name is PtitDrogo. Team Iron Chain.
But they have like a fox or something as a logo. Him right. As the red Terran. His logo makes a lot of sense. It is Koss.
I don't get it. It's a star. What team is he on? Is it StarCom?
It's a star on a command center as well. StarCom.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. In StarCraft. It just works on so many levels, man.
And he's even got the star decal underneath his command center with a big old smile.
Where is the cohesion over here? I mean, what even is this? Is it a mothership? I guess it's a mothership, isn't it? Is that
that's a mothership. I'm trying to figure out what the actual Iron Chain logo is, though. Because you said a fox.
Bird?
I kind of see it. It almost looks like a hedgehog.
Oh,
it's like an angry red Sonic the Hedgehog.
With 3 feet.
With 3 feet. That's how he runs extra fast, zombie grub.
Yes, we figured it out.
Evolution.
Don't at us. We already figured this one out. So, yeah, Drogo going for some interesting wall-offs, but
this is the reason why, and I'm sure you could talk more about this, but the reason why I think we see these wall-offs is just because there's no Reaper hop-off cliff directly into the main base. So if you just wall off this natural area, you only have to worry about the ramp, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just more interested about the Cybernetics core placement. I guess it still kind of makes them move around if they're going to go up there. So it makes sense. Yeah.
And I guess it's a lot to do with the fact that you just don't have your second pylon finished up otherwise in time in the main base. So
yeah. Well, not only do you block out the Reaper, you also get a bit more of a forward push with an Adept, for instance. And Koss did not SCV scout this time, so
3 seconds be damned to that Adept build time. You know what? I'll just build my gateway a little faster, a little bit closer to you. You know what? I see Terran players do this all the time, and it seems to work out fine for them.
Yeah, well, this could be difficult, but Koss is keeping his Reaper at home. I mean, he's going to be able to micro against the Adept initially. Stalker's going to be a bit more troublesome if it comes across the map. Ideally, you just buy time until you get more units. I mean, some Terran players open up with a Hellion, some get just a couple of Marines afterwards, but...
Okay, that's going to be a dead SCV, which is already a really nice pickoff. And delaying this, the Reaper even getting pulled all the way back, but not actually be able to do too much about this. This is a great start so far from Drogo. And even already pulls that Adept back.
Yeah, he just put it in the natural.
Okay.
So once
Oh my god, he's gonna get another SCV.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And did he get in the main? No, he didn't get in the main. But he's
Oh
also
no,
getting.
he's having trouble right-clicking it. He went after the. He went
Wait.
after the. What did he? He was in the command center.
Yeah, probably. Oh, he's not. Wow, he's not even gonna get the SCV.
Oh.
Nicely done by Koss.
To PtitDrogo's credit, he's busy microing against the Reaper in the main base, which I think he did finally kill with that Stalker. But yeah, it was micro on 2 fronts.
Yes, yeah, for both parties, I suppose. This probe was, in fact, up to no good over to the right side. So placing down a proxy pylon with some even slow Stalker warp-ins. We do have a ramp, which usually like complicates matters, but we do not have a bunker. We don't have, you know, fast into a Cyclone or a tank. He saw the Widow Mine with the Adept, not only harassing, but also getting some scouting done. And you could just sacrifice that, or the probe, actually, to pop off the Widow Mine and try and do an attack.
This is going to be a really hard push to hold.
Could be.
Okay, well, the bunker's coming down. That is a big, big save there. And seeing a couple of the Stalkers here, and the probe is still here, this should be a pretty big reveal, right?
Well, the probe was supposed to bait out the Widow Mine, but the Widow Mine was so far forward, it actually got a Stalker, and that is a big difference. So the bunker is barely going to finish. Couldn't watch out the SCV anyways.
Or is it?
Yeah. Yes.
They got close.
You're right.
Ooh. Getting some damage done to some of the Marines. The bunker being there is a huge, huge deal because it makes it so much harder for the Stalkers to actually do a whole lot. The Widow Mines did load up into that medevac, though, and are making their way across the map. 3 of them sitting there trying to look to get some damage done. Yes. Is Drogo going to have a fast reaction?
This is absolutely what can turn around when you do a build like this from Drogo. So he's going to have to recall his units. The attack was no longer working.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. A little bit late to that. And then, oh, no. Oh, okay, that's going to be some good shots.
Oh, 9 workers killed. That is super solid.
Yeah, it is. And the medevac lives, so this is the most solid opener that Koss could have like hoped for. There is another universe where this bunker did not go down at all, or the SCV was immediately target fired, something along those lines, and there's a bit of like an equalizer there. Some SCVs go down, mules are, you know, not dropped, something like that. But it is all just good for Koss, who, you know, I guess has a momentary little bit of a weak point. No, he actually already has his tank just really far back, so.
Super, it's really far back. I almost wonder if this is going to act as a bit of a bait for the Stalkers to just blink onto the bunker, try and focus fire down or something. If he sees that there aren't that many Marines there.
You can see Koss is like, he knows that there's not going to be a front attack. Like, it
covers the main base too.
Exactly. It would be like kind of like that I know that he knows that I know thing if he were to attack just right into the natural. But instead, Drogo does what Koss predicted and is going to lose some Stalkers for it.
Yeah, really nice. Killing off 2 Stalkers this fast, and now we're going to end up seeing, I think the Raven is going to be able to push back the Observer, which makes it harder for the Stalkers. It's not impossible, but it makes it harder for the Stalkers to ever blink back up in the main. Not that I think they want to when they know that there are 3 siege tanks out.
This is so funny. There's such a big main in Cyber Forest.
It is.
There we go.
Okay, siege tank moves forward. Drogo not paying attention for a second. Okay.
It's a lot of damage to take.
Yeah, I don't think he lost a Stalker there though, so gets out of there okay. It does suck to take the damage though. We'll see the Dark Shrine is now finishing up. The Warp Prism is also in position, so Cyber Force, like you said, big main. He still has some area he can warp in and drop some GTs off, and GTs can do quite well versus these kind of Marine tank forces, especially if Combat Shields isn't done. But the Raven is going to complicate things for those Dark Templar.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it complicates things for everything. Like, as long as you can use the Raven appropriately, it's such a strong early game tool. And conjunction with these tanks as well, it really is the cover-all defense. With maybe you missplit your army in the initial stages, right? But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I mean, despite Drogo having a ton of gateways for charge lots, and we all know those are scary against tanks, there's a lot of barracks production now. He is reducing medevacs this time. Like, I think Drogo just falling behind in this game. Yeah.
No upgrades on the way either, so he's going to be falling pretty far behind in that regard as well, even without the second engineering bay. Well, this drop is going to get caught. A handful of these Marines trying to focus fire down the weakened up Stalkers, and actually manages to get out of there by pulling the Stalkers back, barely getting out of there alive.
Really nice control there. It was from Koss to be able to save the medevac. It can now try and just stay in the upper right corner and always threaten, so Drogo's army is completely out of position. He does have an Observer, which even though it dies, at least it's scouted that was on the way. His 3rd Nexus is coming down now, and that could be canceled, but it still would be an unideal scenario. Drogo just hoping that maybe a max amount of charge lots would would overwhelm costs, but with the army supply difference, I'm not sure that's going to be the case.
Okay, this is the time that you move in with the DTs, but oh my god, before the DT even gets a single swipe off, the scan comes down, and that's a cleanup, at least in the natural. But the main base has 3 different DTs going in after those SCVs. A scan comes down. He's actually going to be able to clean up 2 of them. Third one's going to be a little bit close.
It's going to get the missile turret. Ah, no, I tried to run away.
Oh, scan runs out. That actually, okay, he is going to finish up the missile turret.
Okay.
He's out of scan, so we get a little bit scary for a moment.
Well, those 2 Vikings that are going to be on patrol, and now Koss can just focus on the attack on the 3rd Nexus. He's got Wood Mines, he's got tanks, he's got a Raven, which is about full energy, and Drogo does have the cancel. Oh.
Yep, gonna try and maneuver around. Does Koss decide to continue pushing on in with that army, though? This does get a bit scary, right?
It certainly does. I mean, that's like a decent amount of Archons and Immortals. It's really not entirely charge law based, and the tanks are on siege. So bad timing there.
Yeah, Hallucinating Phoenix tries to set off those Widow Mines early. Anti-armor missile hits mostly the Bioforce and only a couple of the Archons, and Drogo is going to be able to clean up a majority of this army. Does get close, though.
Yeah, you know, despite the unfortunate timing of the tanks, there was some really interesting play there. We had a couple interference matrix, or at least one on that Archon, which did help quite a bit. The anti-armor missile kind of splashed back on Koss, but did help, I suppose, in general. And that was a bit of an interesting fight, one that Drogo loses, I think, more expensive units for. I believe the Raven was saved. There wasn't a ton of medevacs, and the tanks at this point, I think, are already kind of like, you're moving away from them anyways. You're producing cheaper, faster building Widow Mines. And Koss does have his 3rd CC on the way, where Drogo is, I guess, getting his 3rd down now, but still on his way to Storm. He's actually going to go into Robotics Bay. So a little bit of time there.
Yeah, kind of interesting. And remember, those Archons came from the Dark Templar. They didn't come from a Templar Archives and High Templars being morphed in, so he isn't going to have Storm. Like you said, Robotics Bay on the way does allow him to go for the Colossus that we've been seeing a lot of pros players go for. Whereas I feel like Koss, he has at least one of the upgrades already finished. He's going for a 2nd upgrade. Oh, it's going to be Disruptors. I guess, given that his upgrades are behind, that isn't the worst decision.
No, it's not. I mean, it's. Yeah. I think either choice has its benefits, but Disruptors are I think, more of like a, wow, I really hope this works. And I
comeback unit, yeah.
Yeah, I think Drogo is feeling the pressure here. His Stalkers have never really done as much as they would hope, and they are just getting ripped apart by the bio. The Immortals are a strong backbone, but they need some charge lots to actually be able to save them.
Anti-armor missile on the Immortals. That is not actually going to trigger the hardened shields, but it still will allow him to die very quickly. Disruptor shot, not quite getting the damage done he wanted to. There is some more harassment with the DTs happening in the natural expansion of Koss, but he does finally clean that up. And we're starting to see that Koss is gradually getting pushed further back.
Yeah, there's some harassment, I think, from Vikings as well in the main or something like that.
10 workers killed, yeah.
Yeah. Gonna get a kind of a freebie gateway and a pylon here, and it's clear that Drogo is on the back foot. He would need an amazing disruptor shot just to get this.
Oh, that disable, so clutch. And with that, Koss is gonna stim on forward, sniping off the last Immortal, snipe off that disruptor. GG gets called, and Koss 2-0s his way to the winner's match.
Yeah. I know we've had 2 zeros where, again, we're talking about the names that would just be on the forefront of your mind.
Yeah.
So Nurture got 2-0'd, and now Drogo got 2-0'd, but I actually think that's the way that things were supposed to go, considering their performance. I know it's not really been a ton of big tournaments.
You're a better predictor than me.
Well.
I will definitely admit, this is not the group I was expecting.
I'm no Roddy. But no, I think this is a strong showing from, you know, surprisingly not necessarily like up-and-comers, but like our old-timers. Like Gung Fu at one point was kind of up-and-coming, and then he dropped off, and then Koss is actually just an old-timer. But it's super cool that he's able to perform so well.
Really cool group so far, though. I have definitely been enjoying today. Even like you said, though, it's 2 zeros, but it's still been kind of fun and sort of surprising, at least for me, exciting matches. Yeah. And that does set us up for our winners and our losers match. This is going to end up being, in fact, now Gung Fu Banda in the winners match facing off later on versus Koss. But before that, we have a Zerg versus Protoss with Nurchio versus Drogo. Will the drone killer be able to overtake Nurchio, or will Nurchio be able to bring back that Iron Chain madness? We'll see in